Hello, fellow baggers, and welcome back to Bluebaggers Edge. Before we get stuck into things, of course, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to help us on our way to hit that 1K subscriber mark by the end of the draft period. But let's get into the crux of things, and we are here to chat about a couple of additional list changes, and it looks like it's truly last chance saloon for Elijah Hollands as the club virtually tore up the remaining year of his contract, but stopped short of ending his career in the navy blue completely by offering him a chance to reclaim his spot back as a train-on player across the pre-season. Now, it's been a bit of a storied saga for Elijah and his off-field troubles, which dates right back to his time at the Suns. And without going into too much detail, when the likes of Voss and Chris Davies were prompted about him, they responded that he had let the club down, and they used the word disappointed, which kind of gives an insight into the situation, which I can kind of shed a little bit of light on without delving into it too much. And this is via an article that was released in The Age, and it contained quotes from Elijah himself, who detailed what he was going through in the 2025 season itself. So things aren't quite as cut and dry as we may think it to be. And in this article, it detailed quite a bit of Elijah's troubles and battles with his mental health, as well as the fact that he, whilst wrestling with that, made the wrong move in the sense of turning to alcohol and substances as an outlet to cope. But from that, he sought support, thankfully, and help through a retreat on how to best heal himself with tools and strategies that work without turning to substances, which he obviously already did through alcohol, and that kind of took its toll a bit, and I think exacerbated his mental health. But to his credit, he put his hand up, sought some help, and came out the other side. And this article kind of delves into that a fair bit. So check it out if you haven't already, and it is available to read on the Age website. Now, it is a little bit of a delicate situation, of course, as some may say, I guess, that he's already had 2 chances. He's going on his 3rd, which is fair. But we must also remember, I think, there's a little bit of a caveat here. We kind of get lost or blindsided by the fact that we're talking about footballers. Now, yes, they are footballers, but they're also human at their core, obviously. And we've got to remember, I think, with Lige, that he's only 23 years old still. And I know, it can't really be used as an overarching excuse, but it's a scientific fact that not everyone matures at the same rate psychologically and in terms of their brain development. It's a combo of genetics as well as environmental and lifestyle factors as well. But all you need to do is really look at his younger brother, Ollie. These two are chalk and cheese when it comes to maturity level, and yet Ollie is 2 years younger, believe it or not. And thinking about myself when I was 23 years of age, I thankfully didn't, get mixed up in that world myself. I hung around, respectable people, and I'd like to have thought myself to be quite mature at that age, which a lot of people said. But I know of others that I went to high school with that, actually unfortunately got caught in that unfortunate situation, and it happens. That's kind of what happens with life, as we know, and they've been caught in the wrong crowd. And it kind of sounds as if Elijah perhaps was himself when he was at Gold Coast, or even before that. And, since then it's been a little bit of a slippery slope, as we know. But viewing this from a standpoint of Elijah, as I said, as a human being and not just a footballer, and with a proper support network, and having expressed remorse and a sense of, height and maturity detailed in that Age article about how he sought proper means of help and learning how substances can exacerbate things, I am willing personally to give him another shot if he can prove himself. Now, I think, in terms of proving himself, it means training the lights out across the preseason, putting in extras across, the training sessions and whatnot, and displaying a level of maturity to indicate that he is willing to take steps towards leaving his old life behind him, if you want to call it that. We have blokes at the club mature beyond their years, as we know, Cripper, Weeders, Walshy, guys in the leadership group that I would hope he seeks out, and the club also as well encourages him and those leaders to take him under their wing from a mental health standpoint, and really just do simple check-ins and see how he's going. Because, as I said, he's someone that, what I can gather from this article and the quotes, which I'll mention in a moment, that he kind of comes across as someone who's both remorseful, but also he's come out the other side with a little bit of intelligence off the back of this experience. In that, if you're going through things, obviously speak up if you can, and that's the first step to getting help and hopefully recovery off the back of that. But he kept silent and turned to substances, and in his case, which was alcohol, and that kind of spiraled almost out of control and exacerbating the anxiety and stuff that he details in this article that he was dealing with. So, and whilst there is obviously a predisposition to mental health when it comes to those with substance addiction, they just go hand in hand. Unfortunately, it's kind of a bit of a drawback to things. So whilst I guess Lige can't absolve himself of responsibility, he got himself in that situation. It is what it is. We can, I think, as humans, maintain a level of compassion and appreciation, I think, for him having sought the help. He was going through, or what he thought was a way around things, was not the best way to do it in terms of turning to, alcohol to fix things. And then off the back of that, when things started to exacerbate and get worse, and what was detailed in this article, he then went and sought help and went to a retreat and learnt about proper ways to, deal with these, experiences, I guess, with mental health. So I think off the back of that, personally, having read it, I can respect him, and, he's got a fair bit of growth to go, and he admits that himself as well. But, outside of that, we all know from a footy sense that Lige is insanely talented. He just really needs to understand that this is his last chance. That is it. If he stuffs up again, if he deviates, you're done. That's you. That's your career done at AFL level. And to be given a lifeline from Carlton again virtually when no other club was willing to trade for him should give him the biggest wake-up call of all. Now, as I said, age can't be used as an all-rounded excuse, but it may grant you a couple of opportunities at redemption, as it has here, before those chances run out. So let's hope that he can grasp it. And a couple of key quotes here that I just thought I'd mention from Lige himself in that article in The Age, perhaps indicate that he is now on the right path. So he said, prior to my experiences with mental health challenges, I was pretty negligent on it, to be honest. So just, off the back of what I was saying, didn't have the intelligence around how to best, help deal with things. And, he's kind of learned off the back of that. And in the article, it says the gratitude he has for the support his brother Ollie, the rest of his family, and the club gave him is clear. And most importantly, so is his outlook on life. And just a quote to end the article, it says, I know I can turn this into a really positive learning experience for me, and that whatever is next for me, I'm extremely committed to and looking forward to whatever opportunity may pop up. So let's hope those words really can translate into action and an elevated sense of maturity off the back of it, awareness, intelligence, and everything else that goes with it. Now, Chris Davies as well, just a couple more quotes. He said it best, I think, when he was interviewed about Lige during the trade period, and he mentioned that it's important that you give the player the opportunity to amend their behaviour, and it's certainly important to give the player support to know that there is a chance. But that's something we're going to have to work through when the trade period finishes. And what we see now is that support and the chance that the club is affording him. And just to round things off, Matt White also unfortunately was delisted, but thankfully as well, alongside Lige, has been allowed to be a trade-on player across the preseason for a chance at regaining a spot on the list. I was a really big fan of some of the glimpses that he showed in 2025, Matt White, and would love to see him stick around. So fingers crossed for the young man there. But as always, let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to help us on our way to hitting the 1K subscriber mark that we're hoping to hit by the end of the draft period. I think we're around about 80 odd subscriptions away or thereabouts. So thank you so much in advance for all of your support for a fellow bagger. With that, ladies and gents, until next time, we'll catch you in the next one. Go Baggers.